This is your host, Linwood Jackson Jr., checking in with you. How are you? Thank you. Thank you, family, for checking into this program. Thank you for staying tuned continually to Justification. This is a much needed topic, and based on the conversations I've had with different people, whether they be pastor or lay, it is at this time that there is a need to understand more of what the Bible is saying. And so I want to invite you to check out the book, Justification, of which this show is based off of. Check out this book. It is an in-depth research book based on this term, justification, and it allows you, the reader, to know what you can do, what I can do, what we can do collectively to make our devotional lifestyle that much more better, so that our human lifestyle can understand the correction it needs to make in order for the two to marry. So check out this book and please continue to enjoy this program. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, everyone joining me. Whatever time you have, wherever you are, thank you for tuning in. And also, this is just a random plug, most definitely, but necessary. This is a sweatshirt of mine. Listen, it is warm. It is ridiculously fitted. And so, listen, grab you one and represent the movement of justification, the movement of clarity for your spiritual or devotional or philosophical conversation with the living God, our Father, our Creator. I think that's a smooth transition to where I want to pick up. Knowing when to let go. And if you are curious, again, about the apparel, linwoodjacksonjr.com/apparel. That's linwoodjacksonjr.com/apparel. Super fitted, super excellent. But knowing when to let go. Knowing when to let go. Last time we met last Tuesday, it was about necessary suffering. It was about understanding how to translate your pain into gain, and how to translate that gain into wisdom. How to translate that wisdom into principles to both live and to die by. That die not literal, that die, Paul says, die daily. I die daily. And that dying daily is a dying to self-inclination. And when we hear that, our Western frame of mind takes that into a secular point of view, as if the letting go of self, or the refraining or the restraining of self, is what's connected to a secular or a flesh-based stimulus. If you had to read the discourse that Paul is giving up until that point, there is nothing necessarily flesh-based that Paul is talking about. Paul is actually talking about the stimulus given to the spiritual body, or to the body of our faith, or to our devotional conversation. Dying daily, primarily to the body of our conversation, secondarily to our human being. Why is that? Because our personal devotional conversation, or our faith, how we perceive our religion, dictates how our human being behaves in a natural sense on a daily basis. If we believe that God says don't wear that, we're not going to wear that. If we believe God says don't eat that, we're not going to eat that. If we believe God says this, we're going to do our best to not do what God says not to do. Weird to say that, frame that, but you get it. Our faith and the way that we perceive our religion dictates our human being. So our human being, naturally born senseless, becomes even more senseless when we believe that we are our or a religion. So what Paul is saying in that discourse, everything leading up until that point, and even everything after, as a matter of fact, because he lets us know that there are two bodies, one spiritual, one that we are born with physical. And so even there, Paul is making that distinction in 1 Corinthians 15. The dying daily part has everything to do with the spiritual body first, because it is that body by which we perceive our world through. So just as that necessary pain for necessary gain, for necessary wisdom, for necessary principles are to be received, acquired, and put into practice, it's for our human being, but firstly for the being of our devotional character. But in order for that to take place, we have to do a little bit of finagling with that conversation of ours, and that involves us letting go of it. We like to think that in our life we have our life. My life is my life. I'm living my life. But that would mean that we are associating the essence within us to this stream of consciousness, all of which we do not own, claim, or control or power. We have no control over any of it, and yet we still believe that it is our life. Well, it is the same thing with our faith. We believe that our faith is ours. That's why we, like to or can possibly control it by doing specific things and by believing on specific things and by not doing specific things and by not believing on specific things. We give power to our belief, when in reality it should be that our belief is giving us power to live. And that's the dying daily part. The dying daily part is the letting go of that aspect of control. Believing that we control, we actually lose control. Almost as if you can sit and think for a second on how you're breathing. Every thought after that is going to be about your breath, and you will not be able to stop thinking about how you're breathing. And all of a sudden, you're going to start breathing wrong. And then it's going to take a while for you to not think about your breathing at all and just go about thinking about something else. Same thing with our faith. When we hold on to our faith, that's all we're going to be thinking about is our faith. And we're going to be connecting our faith to some thought or to some theory that exists from outside of our experience. We're going to call that outside experience our faith. Meanwhile, our faith, our personal confidence in the Creator is withering. All because we want to hold on to what we never gave to ourselves. If you think about it, I can't remember giving myself any confidence in the scriptures at all. If you think about it, if you can remember yourself saying today, like March 3rd, whatever the year, this is the day that the Bible's relevant, like out of any other day in my life, and from here on I'm going to be doing something about that, that's not how this works. Time, chance, and experience has built us up to find something special and relative within the scriptures that we know is for us and that we know is for our experience. In the moment, we don't know what that is, but we know that that's for us. We know that that's for our experience. We didn't plan this to happen. Nothing was orchestrated. We didn't go to sleep Tuesday night, wake up Wednesday and go, Bible. Like, that's not how that works. Time, chance, and circumstance played a part in us gaining a confidence in the living God for us to be able to turn to the Bible, to rely on it as something relevant. So we had absolutely no hand in us taking the Bible to be anything special. So if we had no hand in that at all, the only thing that we did subconsciously was consent to the experience. So all we did was consent. Now, for some weird reason, the moment we consent, the moment we say, this is it, that's the moment we consciously believe that we need to control our experience. That's the moment we fix ourselves on the fact that this is my experience, and I need to do something continually, perpetually, and I need to not do something continually, perpetually, in order to let that experience be as real as it should be. But little do we know that by doing so, we actually taint the experience. By putting ourselves in the experience itself, we stumble over ourselves. We make it hard to get out of our own way, when really there should be no way in the way to get out of. That even makes sense. It should be completely nothing in front of us. We shouldn't be in front of ourselves. But that's the way it is. And that's the way it is because of our human being. Our human being is naturally lazy but wants control. Our human being wants ease. It wants ease in anything that it does. It wants ease. It doesn't want to think. It doesn't want to feel. It doesn't want to have to reflect on itself. It wants ease. And so when it comes to us consciously now saying the Bible is it, all of a sudden our human being, and it may be out of fear that we may not be recognizing within it, but our human being, it consciously acknowledges this step that we're taking as being a step of it having to relearn something. And so it having to relearn, given the fact that it is naturally created lazy and prone to ease, it will do everything possible to get out of the fact that it has to now look at its own self and reflect. And so what does our human being do? Our human being sends us to places. Our human being allows us to rely on the conscience of other individuals who may have graduated with the belief that we have, and we believe that we should put our belief on their belief. So now their conscience is guiding ours. Our human being allows us to find ease in the opinion of others, or in the words of others, or in the atmosphere of others, or in the environment of an assembly, instead of allowing us to acknowledge that the experience that we're having is not ours. It's for what's within us. And nobody outside can know what is within us except the one that gave it to us. And because we didn't give to us what is inside of us, we should really be connecting back and thinking back on that spark, on that mind, on that experience that allowed us to now know that we are not the creator of ourselves, but are a creation. Turning back to our creation, turning back to our creator, for the purpose of knowing that we are creations. And so letting go is the key to that. But letting go of what? Of everything just said is letting go of the aspect of doing, letting go of the aspect of thinking, letting go of the aspect of feeling. Because, even my most recent episode on justification, it had to deal with the fact of us being able to withdraw ourselves from ourselves so that ourself can feel, so that our faith can feel what it needs to feel. We're doing too much feeling for our faith. We're doing too much feeling for our confidence in the living God. We're doing too much of the physical stuff to give us a feeling of a belief. But what if belief isn't felt? What if belief isn't physical? What if everything that we do, everything that we wear in our ears, around our neck, hanging from our rearview mirror to remind us of our faith, what if none of that is actually relevant to the actual context of the definition of belief? Now, when I go through the scriptures and I look at this word belief and in its context, belief actually has nothing to do about what is done. We don't gain belief from doing. We gain belief from processing. If you had read the scriptures on Moses and what Moses had written, you would have known about me by now. We've read that many times in the book of John. They didn't believe what he was saying because they didn't know the scriptures. That fact of belief or believing, it's connected to that fact of knowing. That fact of knowing is connected to experiencing or handling. So the more that we can handle or experience, and the more that we can allow our faith to handle and to experience for its own self the things that are within the Bible, the principles put into place and activated on a daily basis, that's literally how belief is formed. Like, I believe that there is no greater fruit on this earth than strawberries. We can go to war over this fact. It gets real. Oh, it gets real. No greater fruit than strawberries. And I know that and I believe that because I've tasted. I don't think there is any taste on this planet from a fruit that's better than strawberries. I believe this to be factual because I've experienced it. Now, it's a little bit controversial because there may be others that say strawberry is not the best. It's mango, it's grapefruit, it's oranges, it's pineapple. That's cool. But the common denominator, despite the taste, is fruit. We may experience things in scripture differently, and we may come across with different principles to live by, but each principle and each experience harps back to a one singular common denominator, and that is the living God, our creator. So despite the different tastes, despite the different principles, we will all never be off because of that one singular common denominator, our creator. And that's something to exercise in thought because it's not easy. It's not easy because who wants to let go of their belief for a belief that's contained within words and experiencing? All we do is feel. Our entire life is based on feeling. Everything that's given us is a stimulus for feeling. Everything we see, everything that's thrown at us to where we now don't even have an attention span for more than 1 second. It's based off a feeling and the stimulus of that feeling and the chemical reaction for a stimulus of an impulse that's based off of feeling. And so it is by feeling that we exchange for that belief. We believe that feeling is a form of belief and that belief is feeling. But belief is actually without feeling. Belief is actually without thought. Belief, the root of it, is in emptiness. When you can be empty enough to be filled up, that's when the fact of belief can take place. When you can be empty enough to admit that you consent to be empty enough and that you're not full, well, that's when the living God, just like he did to Ezekiel, will say, eat this. And just like John did in the Revelation, it may be bitter to our stomach, but once that settles down, you will understand that that bitterness is for a reason, and that bitterness in our stomach is for cleansing something that is within our system that shouldn't be there. That's how belief happens. Taking in the principles, exercising the principles, struggling with what the scriptures are saying, crying over them for not being able to understand them, going to no other thing but what you're struggling over to, and prayerfully casting your heart on that. Doing that repeatedly and patiently and temperately, that's where we learn the taste of the Bible. That's where we learn the taste of the Bible and the taste specifically for our faith's character. And it is this taste that will keep us coming back to the Bible, just like strawberries keep me coming back, just coming back to the Bible due to that one particular taste that's for us individually. And for us individually to continue to experience that. And that can only happen when we first aim to let go of what we are holding on to that's not ours. We have to give it back. The moment we can release what has been given to us and stop believing that it's ours and stop acting as if it is ours and just become ignorant and empty to the experience, that is when we will be able to be full enough to keep going. So that is the thought. And especially related to justification as a whole, be empty in your experience. Be empty in what you take in. Be empty in what is going on with you, because the more empty, the more opportunity for fullness. And for fullness from a hand that we cannot see, and from a mind that we cannot know until we get into that position of letting go. So let go, and in this cold, cold season, stay warm. Take care for now. This is your host, Linwood Jackson Jr., checking in with you. How are you? Family, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank you for being attentive to the message. Everything that I'm giving to you has been placed and laced onto my heart by our Father, and due to its benefit in my life, I have been inspired to share it with others. And the reactions that I'm getting have been beautiful because we're all going through the same thing. We're all going through the same thing. We're all going through the same struggle. We all got the same attitudes. We all got the same everything. But it helps to know that there is a mind that crafted a wisdom who is the creator of our human being and our conversations, conscience, and body. And so, taking all of this into perspective, it made such an impression on me. I'm thankful to you for being attentive. And I'm thankful to you for caring also for your own human and devotional or spiritual condition. So I'm interrupting this meeting, a meeting in which I know you are being fed, to give a shout out to my sponsors. Grammarly, thank you. Grammarly, if you are into writing as I am, if writing is your life as writing is my life, Grammarly is the key to use to get your writing beyond par. Beyond par. It's simple to use, very simple to use, and it's very key to getting to the point of what isn't so obvious in your writing. So if you are a writer like me, publishing, any sort of blogging, anything that you do, that you put out to benefit another, Grammarly is the way to go. And also the American Bible Society, Bibles.com. The American Bible Society, if you love the Bible like I do, and if you need a new Bible or just would like a collection, American Bible Society, you can find everything and anything related to the Bible on this website. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in.